Hi, I'm Angela Haupt, and I'm the Health and Wellness Editor at US News. I'm very happy to be joined today by Kathleen Rea, the author of a new book called The Healing Dance, which is a personal story that takes a look at the hardships faced by professional dancers. Hi, Kathleen, and thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Hello.
So, Kathleen, in addition to being a former world-class ballerina, you are also a psychotherapist along with wearing a number of other hats, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Well, your book, The Healing Dance, is a really powerful story, talking about the pressures and health sacrifices that professional dancers face. So I was hoping you could tell us a bit about your experiences and why they drove you to write this book.
My experience was that I loved dance from a very young age, and everything was going well with my professional dance training until I went through puberty and I developed more curves than was liked in the ballet world. So I had this talent, but I didn't exactly fit. And so I had to diet in order to get roles and to continue on with my career. Unfortunately, that dieting took a turn to being unhealthy as I became really obsessive about my body shape. I began to dislike my body and excessively diet. As well, after days and days of starving myself, I would also binge eat because I was just so hungry that this kind of famished creature would overtake me. So I was sick for about 10 years.
Oh, wow. So is that really common? Is that something that a lot of ballet dancers and other professional dancers experience?
In my professional training program, there were 14 of us, and 7 of us had eating disorders. So that's 50%. And that's at the age of 14.
Wow, that's very striking. So how did you overcome it? How did you beat the odds? Tell us about the healing process.
I think I had to reach rock bottom to decide to get better. So I was dancing at the National Ballet Company of Canada, and I was dancing a 40-hour work week. I was trying to maintain a physique of 105 pounds when I was 5'6", and that was actually the weight that was required of me by the ballet company. They said because I had larger breasts than the other girls, they had to see more bones. So I was being required to be almost deathly thin. And I had this extreme hatred and paranoia about my body, and it got so bad at one point that I was sleeping on the bathroom floor because I thought my bedroom was too luxurious for what I deserved. And I would also sleep with a knife, almost ready to cut the fat off my thighs. And at that time, I was also binging and purging up to 8 times a day. So I could have died. And there was one morning when, after having slept like that on the bathroom floor, I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I could see in my eyes that I was dying if I continued to do this. So it was a turning point for me where I hit rock bottom and I decided to seek help from the eating disorder therapist.
And has therapy been helpful, and are you fully recovered and healthy today?
I am fully recovered. Therapy was very helpful in helping me realize that the view that was being presented to me, I could say no to, that I could actually decide to like my body and let my body be its natural size. It was also a lot about finding my own voice, because in the ballet world, you're taught to say, yes, I'll do this, yes, I'll do this. And part of my recovery was learning to say no to people. So that was a big switch when I started to say no in my life. Everyone was like, oh, but you're usually so nice. But that's part of recovering, is finding your own voice.
And I know that expressive art therapy has been really helpful for you. So can you tell us a bit about that, what it is and why it's been so helpful?
Expressive arts therapy is a form of psychotherapy, but instead of just talking on the couch, there's the option to use the arts. I mostly use dance because I'm a dancer and that's the way I express myself. So for example, when I was recovering, I created a dance piece based on my descent and recovery from bulimia and anorexia. I took bathroom scales and put them inside my point shoes. I designed a mirror frame and made up a script and dialogue. And I performed this for a public audience, and many ballerinas came to see the piece, and you could hear them in the audience crying halfway through the show, because it wasn't just my story, it was all of our stories. And that was a really healing moment for me, because after having created that piece, it became harder and harder to go back to my old ways. It was kind of like a marker that said, okay, you've passed this level of healing, and now you can share your story with others.
Wow, that's fantastic. So now, since it's Nutcracker season and countless ballerinas are, pouring their hearts into their performances, what kind of advice do you have? What words of wisdom would you tell these dancers so that, they can also overcome the hardships the same way you did?
I would say there's this tendency in ballet to have the martyrdom competition. Who can have the most bleeding toes, the most injuries, the least amount of food, and still dance? And I would say if you can let go of that, that there's no weakness in providing yourself with self-care, taking care of injuries, eating a proper amount of food, just being kind to yourself. And that's actually a strength of character, to know when you need to be kind to yourself.
That's advice that we can all benefit from. So thank you so much, Kathleen, for sharing your story. It's really powerful, and The Healing Dance is just a book that I think will help a lot of people. So thank you
Thank you.
again.
You're welcome.